All right, Rennie Curran here. Welcome to another episode of the Game Changers Foundation Athlete to Athlete series. Our mission is to help athletes in sports, business, and life. And we got a very special guest today. He's none other than my man, Manny Rodriguez. Manny is a former CFL linebacker. He's also a sports performance specialist, the CEO of U48 Fitness. And I'm honored to have you on, man. How you doing?
Sure, I'm good, man. I'm good. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing great, bro. It's always good to connect with you, man. Congrats on everything so far. I
Sure.
know this is a crazy time that we're going through with, the pandemic happening, but at the same time, man, you have the job of creating dreams, and tell everybody just about your journey. I'd love to hear more, but I know you're preparing guys to get into the NFL and achieve their dreams, and you've been able to do a great job at that. And we'll talk more about it, but just catch everybody up on just your journey and how you got to where you are.
All right, cool. So anytime I think about my journey, I always gotta kind of summarize it as much as possible, just because it's been a long journey. But
Always, yeah.
the best thing about it is I've learned from every situation. So
Right.
basically when went to Central Gwinnett, uh yeah, we never beat y'all, but hey, we were close,
I ain't
man.
say nothing, man.
Yeah. So from Central Gwinnett, I wasn't the high recruited player and all that. And part of the reason why is not an excuse. Is that is not what I'm trying to get through. But basically, I was younger than anybody else, so I was slow. I was a late bloomer,
Right.
which is cool because we have a guy this year. He's a late bloomer. He's been long, but like I said, I learned from every situation. Coming out of high school, I was a late bloomer, so I didn't really have too many options for school. Ended up going to a D3 school where I played baseball and football.
Yeah.
2 years, I had to leave just because of financial situation, and then also my family needed me back home. But
Mm.
that was like one of the first times where I kind of saw how my family look up to me, and you kind of have to start putting your grown man pants on, and
Yeah.
you start thinking, I don't want to be a burden for nobody.
Mm.
Then I came home, and then I was able to get to West Georgia with Yusuf, which was my high school teammate, which was a lot. It was a better situation financially for my family and I,
Yeah.
and also allowed me to play at a higher division because my dream was always playing pro. I always knew I was going to graduate, but before I did anything else, I had to achieve my goal. So I mean, this is a childhood dream, so I was going to go as hard as I can, because I
Yeah.
really wasn't going to be happy if I didn't push it. So at West Georgia, it was when I first got there, it was crazy because they're kind of revamping. So I remember that first year I redshirted, and I basically had to kind of walk on, which is
Mm.
fine. But man, that year I kind of saw the team. I wasn't there for the games, but we'll watch film. But I saw how much work they needed. But my first year there, we won a lot more games than we did that first year when I redshirted, and then my second year there, which I only played 2 years at West Georgia, we went 6-4, and we beat Valdosta State.
Mm.
And
Okay.
they're a
Okay.
great team. Yeah, Edmund Kubla, we beat them, and then we also beat Delta State, which was number one. So coming out of high school, I left on a high. But then my mind was, okay, how am I going to get to the NFL? I'm a small
Right.
guy, don't really have the height. And actually, the year before that, I always looked at you and kind of what you're doing, and I
Mm.
was just like, man, like that gym used to give me like goosebumps because I was like, bro, like Rennie out there eating, man. And then I remember 20, it was in
Mm.
2009 that you got drafted,
Yeah. 20,
third
well,
round. Like
2010. But
that's
yeah.
how I made it. I was like, yeah. So
It's crazy.
that it was just good to see that. So and
Mm.
where this is happening at West Georgia now, whenever you see somebody that you know and that
Yeah.
you could just call whatever, you see a person that like, man, I could do it. And I always tell our athletes and anybody else, you're average of 5 people you hang out with. So you
Exactly.
get to pick, because of the limited belief and all that. So then I started training with professional athletes, and like I said, I was like, I'm always been willing to learn and willing to grind. So it was more
Yeah.
like, hey, I need to go the CFL routes. I need to build a name, because I didn't have a pro day. So like I literally didn't have an agent, didn't have a pro day. So like I kidded, like, yeah, I sat at home and I was like, dang, dude, like this ain't fair and all that stuff. But then I was like, hey, what do you need to do to get to where you need to get to? If it means taking the long route, then take the long route. So I did. And at first it was tough because you go to a CFL tryout, there's 200 to 300 people there. And then they don't know who you are, but there may come a guy that, you know, played in the NFL or had a big name, and they're more looking at him. So I kind of, through hard work, through grind, and basically through like focusing on what I needed to do to get to the next level, which was speed. So I improved my 40-yard dash, where, you know, I was like one of the fastest out there every time. And then I was able to like just cover people and prove that I was there. So my first shot at it was, I mean, I went to tons of CFL workouts, and to the point where I wasn't nervous. I didn't care whether you say yeah or no. I kind of already had to strategize. That's where I kind of knew how to present myself and how to like finish, because it's not just about the talent. It's more about, you know, did you stand out? Like, did you make a name for yourself that day?
Yeah.
And then I got rid of the whole, like, you know, the nervous thing. I didn't care if people tell me no. Like, so I remember I got picked up. I did Winnipeg. I did the training camp up in IMG 1 year, and then I got cut after minicamp. Then I did Ottawa was the last team that invited me out, and I actually did really well. Like, you couldn't tell me that I was going to get cut. It was funny because I led the team in tackles and all that.
I remember that.
I was very comfortable. I knew I was going to make it. Like, you couldn't not tell me I wasn't going to make it. And I was actually the last person to get cut. And the whole time I was like, Coach, yeah, you know, it was cut day.
Right.
Yeah, we're working on you. I'm like, cool. I'm about to get more money to my contract. But it was funny because I went in there and they ended up releasing me. And I was just like, I kind of laughed it off because I was just like, okay, you tell me why you're going to cut me if I'm, you know, a person that's going to. And that's how confident I was, not just being cocky, just more, I knew what I provided. I knew my value, and I worked for it. So I mean, when they cut me at first, it hit me. Then after, I literally sat on the field, and I was just like, dang, like, I'm going to have to call my mom. Like, bro, you know, I mean, you've been cut before. It's just like,
yeah, man.
You know, that awkward feeling where, like, you don't want to really talk to somebody, but you do want to talk to somebody. Then you're thinking about God, like, okay, God, like, bro, like, man, I thought it was it. Like, you know, you're like, damn, okay. So, you know, but, you know, I always had faith. So, I mean, God kept telling me, bro, like, okay, either you're going to, like, train for sports or you're going to, like, pursue your training company, which I was kind of doing at the time. So I was like, you know what, bro, like, okay, I'm going to stop playing football because I don't want to leave. I don't want to stop my company. It was either one or the other. I was just at that point where I was just so frustrated. And I knew the only way to really be successful at something is to go 100 miles per hour.
That's it, man.
You know? So I decided that I was going to, like, just focus on growing and helping other guys get in. So fast forward from that point on, my first NFL prep class, and, you know, already we had already started U48 fitness, but it wasn't as, you know, it was just like something that we did. We ain't own our gym. So, like, you know, whenever I decided to change that mindset, we kind of just, you know, said, all right, we're going to take more risk. And we actually got 2 facilities that year. But 2015 was my first year training NFL combine class. Looking back now, from West Georgia, there was barely anyone making it to the NFL. And the reason why a lot of people from West Georgia come to, you know, our services is because they're going to, you know, I graduated from there, and because they know what we've done with guys that we trained before. So like Tyrell Adams, 5 years later, he's still in the NFL. We had, you know, 2017, West Georgia drafted the most guys in the state of Georgia with 2. And that was Alex Arma and Dylan Donahue. And Alex, another West Georgia guy, still in the NFL. So, like, I'll look back on those wins where, you know, I was able to help those guys. I did not make them because anything you do, like, especially at that level, is pretty much like, you know, I can help them, but I can't, like, pretty much help them make a team. But I could install, like, the values and our, you know, the things that set them apart. And all that, kind of my whole journey kind of prepared me to help guys stand out. So
Love it.
now, I tell them, like, you can't just go to camp and be happy you made it. Like, nobody cares. Like
Right,
you
right.
stand out. You can't just be the quiet guy. Like literally whenever a coach meets and they say, who do you think they need to be thinking about you. So
Exactly.
all that, all that failure and all that trying and all that, effort and grind, I didn't let it go to waste. I just kind of turned it around and helped me,
Yeah.
just the next guy. So as of right now, we started U48 in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I ended up playing football in 2016 with Ottawa. And since then, every year we've been slowly growing. And I've trained, athletes, a lot of first rounder guys, Montez Sweat, you got Sheldon Rankins, I mean, we even trained you, remember Edwin Jackson,
Right,
a
right, right.
lot of guys. And, anytime somebody asks me, I have to like literally go back, either watch
Mm-hmm.
videos or write it down. And when I write it down, I start getting excited because I was like, yeah, I remember this year. And the years are flying by. And
Yeah, man.
2020, so like it's crazy. And even now is even crazier just because of kind of the pause that it puts on everybody's journey. But
Yeah.
I know people like you and me. I never stopped working. I just had to switch my mindset and
Yeah.
positive and just allow God to do certain stuff that
Yeah.
probably needs to be done. So that's kind of like where
Awesome,
my
man.
been.
Love it, man. Nah, that's you covered a lot in that, man. So you went through the whole entire progression, and when you talk about it now, it just seems like it's like that, but it's been a long journey, like you said before. So going back to just even your high school days to college, as you were trying to build up to where you are now, man, because this is when I think about what we're doing right now, this is for like those young guys who are trying to make it, some of those young guys who you're training, they may be getting looks from different colleges, they may not. But what were kind of those things that you did on a daily basis when you were at Central Gwinnett that even set you up to go to a West Georgia or to even believe that you can make it to that next level? What were some of the decisions and the things that you had to overcome?
That's a great question because I mean, I always say now, if I know now what I knew, if I knew back then what I know now, I'll be, I mean,
Right.
make more sense. I'll be where I wanted to get to. The I'll start with what I didn't do. I wasn't as serious in the training, and like I needed to be tunnel vision, and I needed to write down what I really wanted, what college I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Like it needs to, like, you got to see the vision, and you got to
Right.
know what like you got to needs it like a needs analysis. That's kind of what I do when I ask these now. Like, all right, what do you need to do to be great? So I
Right.
needed to improve my speed because I wasn't the biggest guy out there, and because I
Mm.
was so young, everybody was faster and a little bit bigger until I actually kind of grew. So I remember seeing you. You look different. So I think were you taking supplementation? Like,
I did a little bit of protein and different things like that.
okay.
Nothing crazy, of course.
But you did work out. I remember you still working out with Ryan. You
Yeah,
was
Ryan Golden. Yep, yep. So
like
I
yeah,
sought out the gurus. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, so your grind was at another level. I was grinding, but it was not organized. Because I
Mm.
also my dream was also baseball. So I made varsity baseball at Central Gwinnett as a
Mm.
freshman. That was more like my dream until my arm was
Mm.
shaking every time I threw the baseball. So then I kind of had to. And then football, it was just so big. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
Friday night, it was so big and it was so fun because like it was more of a team thing. So like it was just, I knew I was good at baseball, but then football was like slowly taking me there. And then
Right.
I by the time I was a senior, I didn't know what I was gonna be pro at.
Mm.
And I wish I would have gone back and kind of just write out my plan. And then even like staying back a grade because I was too young, I was just not there. So whenever
Mm.
you're getting recruited, like, are you the best in the class? Like, you got to be honest with yourself. Are you really
Right.
the best in the class? Are you? Because I went back and I was looking over our thing. I had the most tackles on team our senior year. I told Bryce all of that, but I wasn't the biggest, fast. I didn't stand out. I didn't
Right.
stand. And I relied too much on coaches to get me where I wanted to get to.
Mm.
What I did though, I mean, I was always been passionate about sports. I was always outside, and then like the people I hung around were very competitive. And then we all, like, I didn't hang around somebody that, was rapping because I didn't want to be a rapper.
Right.
So I was hanging around football players. I was hanging around, like, our senior year, we hung around a lot. So, I hung around people that were kind of the same focus and that were going to push me. So if you're doing something else, bro, like, we were probably friends, but I wasn't hanging out with you. So I guess my biggest thing was my passion. I just knew I wanted to play sports. And it's the only thing is you kind of know what you want to do, but, like, how are you going to go about it? So that's kind of like where I would have probably done stuff differently.
Awesome, man. No, that's great stuff. You talked about aligning your vision with the people who you surround yourself, or surrounding people with your vision. Making sure that that's in alignment. That's huge, especially when you're in high school, because you can waste so much time doing the wrong things and being around the wrong people and whatnot. Another question that popped up in my head was, as you're now training athletes and you're working with not only them but their parents, what can you say to those parents out there who have those high school athletes that they're trying to mold and they're trying to get to that next level? What are some of the things that you've seen from them, and what advice can you give?
So if you're a parent, man, first of all, like, the more support of you with either a son or a daughter, whatever, like, support them, like, because they have a lot going on. And don't expect, like, the last minute that they're going to train and get somewhere. Or don't expect, like, why isn't my kid not playing? Or, so I see a lot of kids, they carry the same, like, values and, the way they carry themselves, like their parents. It kind of tears down. So, that's the biggest thing. So even, like, nutrition, I could look at a parent and if a kid is overweight, I'm like, hey, you're the one buying the food.
Right.
You just gotta, like, so what? He gets mad at you, not, I can say whatever, but, like, I don't have any control at home. So, like, just kind of controlling that nutrition and making sure, like some kids are good. Some kids need more work than others. So you kind of have to talk to your kids and kind of become a team. And also you need help. You need help with people like, Rennie Curran. You need help, like, with people like me. Because I'm not just going to help you get bigger, fast, strong. I'm going to kind of map out a plan and see where, again, the needs analysis. Okay, you want to go D1. All right, first of all, let's see where you're at now and kind of what would it take. So from there, we could kind of plan out. But, starting out early, like, you cannot. I mean, the competition in Gwinnett is crazy.
Seriously.
I've trained kids since. Well, there was this kid I've trained with since 8-year-old. He's going to be a top, linebacker in the state of Georgia in 2022. There's no secret to that. Like, people, you'll look at him, you'll know. So, like, if some people are talented where they can start later, but, like, this is, if you invest earlier, you won't have to pay for college, like, at all, because we could help you attain a scholarship. I can't help you get one. I can help you attain and get you to the right direction. But at the end of the day, like, we have to plan out the future. And parents, you guys are taking the leader role. Like, you basically driving the bus. And because you could tell your son, hey, I want you here and here. Or your son wants it, but like my mom didn't really have a lot of money. So, like, that's something that they, will all come in as a team and we'll plan something out, because that could be, an excuse, or that could be something that, we can help you out with. But yeah, kind of just the overall planning of it, starting out earlier too.
Yeah, I love it, man. I think parents really need to hear as many messages as they can, as far as, being proactive, because, like you said, that competition is ridiculous, and it's only getting worse with social media and the different ways that kids can get more exposure now. So that's huge. Another thing that I love about what you do is you work with not your typical star athletes and whatnot in terms of going from college to the NFL, but you're working with those underdogs. You're working with those guys who may get that free agent opportunity. They may get one workout, and that may be it for them. And so could just speak to that, man, just that underdog mentality. What, for the guys who you've been able to see, you mentioned Tyrell, you mentioned Dylan. I met a lot of those guys, man, and to see just them get that opportunity. Edwin, another guy, man, who have taken the one shot and taken advantage of it, man. What can you say just about the preparation, the mentality, just what makes a difference in those guys that are, one in a million, man, who are on the backs are against the wall, they're on the edge, and they make it. What have you seen from those guys that you can share with the athletes and the non-athletes who are watching?
Yeah, it is like, yeah, it's 1 in a million. It's literally under 1%. Those guys are relentless. So like,
love that word.
And I try to like get in the player's mind just to kind of see where he's coming from. So if you have surface goals and you're only doing something for a certain reason, I'm gonna expose that, because there's a difference between a guy just wanting it and a guy saying this is all I have. I mean, that's the best approach to really go, again, 100% in a certain direction, not no maybe, or because then you're more prone to go 100% and do whatever it's willing to take, because it's going to take a lot. It's going to take you're not going to be able to like see the clear vision, because if you do get into camp, you're going to be the 9th person on the depth chart. So like Andrew Adams, eighth on the depth chart, but he knows his strength, he knows his weaknesses, and he knows that you have to put in work. So at any point in time, he's going to go out there and perform, just because he in his mind, he already knows that. Like, a lot of guys maybe don't know what it takes. Also, like Edwin Jackson, he was driving all the way from South Atlanta to Gwinnett. So if I hear that excuse, then it's just like I already had somebody with that problem.
Right.
And then just the way they train. So like, I don't just train people to like die, but like people go all out, and they're more coachable. Like, that's one of the biggest things. Like, I can't be, I got to put my ego aside, and I got to listen to people, like either a pro guy or even a kid telling me, I want to just hear his opinion. Hey, how you like it? I don't like this. I don't like that. Okay. So pretty much being coachable, and you almost got to like have so much faith that you're not just doing stuff by sight, because a lot of times you won't see it, you won't know. I mean, you already know, like, those calls are random, and that kind of like, and you have to be mentally strong. So like I remember even going back, I mentioned this, I forgot actually, when I graduated West Georgia, I didn't get picked up, so I had to like so I remember I went home, and my mom was like, so what are you about to do now? So I don't know, I'm just waiting for a call, because I mean, this coach is supposed to call. And like, that's literally was my plan. But she was like, you should go back to grad school. I'm like, I just did 5 years in school, because but then it was the easiest thing for me to do. But I'm glad she said that, because I was able to get my master's in like a year and a half while I was playing like arena football to get film. So like, the best thing to do is like, are you doing everything possible that you are doing to get to the next level? And like, will you have regrets? I tell people, like, if like, and it too, like, you're gonna have, if you don't go hard as you can, you're gonna have regrets. Like, and you're gonna. I told a guy, because he had a son, said, well, what are you gonna tell your son whenever you like, whenever he's like 6, 7, or 8, and he understands like, okay, what the NFL is. What you gonna tell him? Like, what are you gonna tell him when he said, hey Dad, why didn't you play for the NFL? And that's an open question, because at that point it's not, you can say whatever, but I don't want to hear an answer. I want to just put people in that situation, because it's going to happen. So not having regrets, because we can go back.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of like the way you got to approach. I mean, you got all like athletes that make to that level, they're special. And there's also a lot of other special guys, but whenever opportunity meets preparation, that's kind of where you get those guys like Tyrell. I train a lot of those guys, and I love it, just because, like, if you're good and you made it, and you feel like, I can't put a value to you, and nobody could coach you, then why am I here for? So
yeah, no, you're exactly right. I mean, you said a lot of powerful things, man. I love the word you use to describe the guys like that. The underdogs was relentless. I love that word, and just the faith that you have to have, the mentality that you have to have, being able to see that end goal, even though it may not look like it at all. And I've been there like you said, the last man on the depth chart, just kind of hoping and praying and doing what you have to do to try to just survive, man, and make that roster. And it's crazy because, the draft's coming up in a week, and people are going to see all these happy stories, the first rounders and the guys who have kind of that fairy tale story. But as you know, the more common reality is the free agent, the guy who's last on the depth chart, the guy who's probably going to get cut a couple times, bounce around at different times, man. So one thing that popped up in my head as you were talking is, do you think that being that underdog puts you actually at an advantage? Like, what do you think about that? Like those guys who know going in that they got nothing to lose, do you feel like that's actually an advantage?
Yeah, and no. Because I have thought about that in the past. But you really talk about the underdogs, but I tell them whenever you're an underdog and you put in the grind and you just go all out, you become unstoppable. So like that, and then like even are you willing to die for it? But I believe so. Yes, is a advantage in some type of way. Only if you could leverage it. Just because you could get to camp and you can, I mean, you pretty much mess up one player, you have no opportunity to show. Where somebody else, may have way more opportunities because they're already at that point. It's more of like a business decision.
Exactly.
They already have invested in this guy, so like, yeah, it's just like, oh, you did good, but like we already paid this guy. You're not right. A big difference. However, in the training world, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that already like they don't really think about what they have until it's gone. So like they won't last too long. So that's where even colleges. We had a guy coming out this year from West Georgia. He walked on to West Georgia. So for him, it's a little bit more special. Like football is more important than somebody else that always had it easy. And so at that point, it's not just about the money. It's more about the love and the passion for the game. Whenever you're an underdog, I believe you have to have more faith, just because you're. Like I said, it's kind of like you're blind. You're chasing after something you can't see, you can't smell. So all you have is like your belief in your head that you can make it and the people around you. So I believe even overall, a lot of people don't think about this. In order to be an elite athlete, you got to have a lot of faith. You got to believe in yourself, because at a certain point that you're going to get challenged in a way where nobody's going to be able to help you, or people are going to be against you. So like you got to be able to know who you are and know that there's somebody bigger and the faith, because whenever you connect that to your mind, that's when you take off. So if you're surface level, you're going to be doing it for the wrong reason. Like
exactly.
You got the money, so what now?
Right.
And that's kind of like what I talk to our guys, like and we also had like Kyle Duggar. He's a D2 guy, and he was a late bloomer coming out of high school, ends up at Lenore Rhines. And then he also gets hurt there one year. But I was talking about him like, man, that's crazy you got hurt that year, because now it allowed him to in 2019, he did part of our NFL Combine, and then he went back to play another season. So because of that situation, he was able to have more time to prepare, and now he's projected to go like second round. So like, this is where like the faith comes into play, because he could have like said, man, I'm done. I'm not even, I'm at Lenore Rhines. I'm done. But everybody has their own path and journey. You just got to like hone in on what you really want. And like, if you're really about that life, you got to like go through your path, because like that's probably the book that you're writing. Kind of like in your book, you have a lot of like in your book, from my mindset in 2009 where I was, I'm like, damn, Rennie this, Rennie that, Rennie third round, all that stuff. Now from your side, you're like, man, I got to go to camp and focus, but then cut. So like, everybody thinks you get in all that stuff, but then, so everybody has their own perception and writing their own book. So like, that's the most important thing about it. You can't go off of somebody else's emotions or do it for this reason. You got to do it for a big enough reason where if you get knocked down, you can get back up every single time.
Exactly.
And it doesn't have to be football every time. It could be like, work.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I love it. You're exactly right. And as you were talking, man, and as I was thinking about just that journey and the path you just discussed, man, it is so tough just to come by opportunities, which makes it even harder this year with a lot of guys that you're training who are in that position of free agent who are didn't come from the big schools, man. How is that the pandemic really affected everything in terms of the opportunities, and what have you done as a trainer to still make sure that these guys get exposure and that they still get a shot at that next level?
Yeah, that the pandemic, it was crazy because
Mm.
we kind of saw it on TV, you heard about it. But then when they said, yep, no pro days, it was almost like it wasn't real. It was okay, maybe 1 week. But then, I mean, it kind of felt like the lockout back in 2010. And the only
Exactly.
way I know I feel that because I had a friend, Bryce. I mean, he went through it.
Hmm.
Like, and I actually been to our pro day when no scouts showed up. So, like,
Yeah.
so it's just like for those
Mm.
guys, I kind of had to go back. And for me, I was like, bro, we've been working all this long. And like, there's not going to be any tests. Most likely, they won't even know about you guys. That's the best part about this process. To watch our guys go out there and make a
Hmm.
name for themselves because they do so well at pro day. On paper, a guy that went to a D1 school that everybody knows may seem a little better, but the thing about it is, at this point in time, there's going to be guys that are going to be better than, it's more about the individual rather than school, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's kind of what you see with the NFL. So what we did, man, we recorded a lot, and I told our guys again, hey, if you have any faith, now's the time to really, well, you should pray every day, but you really,
You pray extra hard.
and keep working out. Like you
Uh-huh.
have to believe that life is going to continue. And then how bad do you want it? Because those people that don't have faith, don't really care too much, are going to be like, all right,
Hmm.
well, I'm just going to go get a job. All right, and then they'll have regrets in the future when they see somebody else make it. But what we did, we were gonna do a huge virtual pro day, because that's kind of what I had to do. So it kind of just brought me back, and basically we have to get these guys seen. So that was all in
Hmm.
my head, and I was also gonna team up with Chip Smith and some other trainers. Like for
Hmm.
us, it was not us. It wasn't about us. It was more about the guys that we were training.
Right.
If you're training and people have invested into your company for you to help them get to the next level, and nobody gets to the next level just because of there was no pro day, then you can't build from that. You won't have stories to sell and to talk about. So therefore, everybody's affected. So what we did was a virtual pro day where, we were trying to do it big, but we weren't able to do the big thing just because respect to the government. We didn't want to break any
Hmm.
laws, get anybody sick.
Right.
However, last week I told the guys, hey, if you're still ready to put something on camera, I talked to a couple of teams and they said, hey, as long as we see them running and at least it's something. I was like,
Hmm.
well, how will you measure? How will you take these? Like, well, we can't really verify it 100%. Like, you know, even though I won't say a guy ran a 4.2 when he ran a 4.6, but
Mm.
he's like, we'll look at it. That's enough for me. Like, hey, these guys said they're gonna look at it. Let's go. Like, like we're gonna record it. We're gonna send it to them. Like, literally, Rennie, bro. We have Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Like, bro, you gotta take.
Right.
And if you don't, if you're sitting at home, then that's exactly what you're gonna do when you're faced with problems in the future and you have a
Hmm.
family. You're gonna start pouting about it, and then you're not gonna handle the way you need to. So
Right.
I decided, hey, I'm gonna be a leader. This is what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I'm gonna risk getting sick, but that's where I'm gonna take it because I'm so passionate about it. So we had a couple of guys go out there and actually ended up in the New York Daily Post.
Hmm.
So we got a lot of media behind it. And the guys who people already knew about those guys. It was just like the NFL scouts tell me if there's a guy that we can't pick up a guy that's risky.
Mm.
One, we haven't seen him run, and two, like we can't risk it. We haven't seen
Right.
him. So that's kind of what you have to think now. But Alex Armour got drafted because of his pro day. So like
Mm.
I know that, and I know how important like it is for these guys. All they need is a shot, honestly.
Yeah. No, that's huge. You could have covered a lot of great things. Just the fact of staying ready, man. The fact of, like you said, needing that opportunity and taking advantage of it at any way. Social media wise, getting that film, putting themselves out there. So that's a lot of great stuff for those guys who are in that position to be in free agent.
Right.
Um, Another thing that came up with, I get a lot of calls from guys who they're training, they're trying to stay in shape, they're trying to get an opportunity, and a lot of times they come out of a small school, they don't have an agent. At this level, when they're trying to move to that pro level, how important is it for them to have an agent? Is this something that they can pick up after they get interest from a team? How do they go about finding an agent if they don't have one, especially for those guys who are the underdogs, who are the free agent caliber players?
That's a great question because that's one of the things I had to do.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to be your own agent,
Mm.
and take it as your name is not out there. Be honest with yourself. Be like,
Yeah.
I haven't put my name out there enough where people want to sign me.
Mm.
So the only reason you'll get an agent at that point is for them to invest in your training,
Right.
um, or anything like that. So do you really need an agent? Not really. Not if you're gonna have a pro day. Now, as right now, yeah, you do need an agent. You need somebody to call and talk about who you are and what you could do for that organization. But what I tell guys is, you know, again, if your name is out there, people are going to contact you.
Right.
If not, don't worry about it. Try to find a way to, invest and pay for your training. And from that, man, you got to, like, whether you have to go to work, you have to do what you have to do to get to where you need to get to.
Yeah.
I took out a loan whenever I came out, and
Mm.
it's just like, it's just like, what are you willing to do? Um,
Right.
so then next thing is, if you're a small school guy and you may have an agent that may not want to invest in you, and again,
Right.
where are you? Are you going to be you're a risky guy, and
Mm-hmm.
again, accept that. But also, if you go to NFLPA.com and you go to agent search and
Mm.
you click on the states, there's like 88 agents in Georgia. There's like 108 in Florida. There's 120 in California. So you
Mm.
have their name, you have their number, and you have their email. So I tell guys, if you really want an agent, hit up the guys that don't have any clients because they're hungry. They're just like you.
Right.
You email them, you call them, and if they don't pick up, call them again. Like, that's taken into action. But
Mm-hmm.
most of the time, if you too worried about an agent, then like I said, your name is not out there, so you got to prove yourself at pro
Mm-hmm.
day. At pro day, once you do well, then either you could, like, more agents are going to contact you because they're going to see how well you did, or the scouts are going to contact you.
Mm.
So at that point, you don't really need an agent while training. Afterwards, maybe if you do well, but the information is out there. There's underdogs agents out there. I've worked with a lot of them,
Right.
and a lot of like, I worked with, like, Paul. I always, like, he trusts me, I trust him, and I know, like, what he's done for his guy. You also have um, Edward Davis. He's a younger guy, and he's pumped up. I mean, these are guys that will see the value in you. But at first, you got to worry about what you could control, and that's getting to the next level, getting big, fast, strong, and also, like, email and whatever you got to do to get their attention.
Yeah. Love it, man. Now that's a lot of great information for those guys. Like I said, I get a lot of calls from them, and you kind of want to tell them, hey, don't worry about an agent, put
Yeah.
yourself out there. But as you know, being in that position, it feels like you just can need any hope you can get.
Right.
Even if
Right.
that's the false hope of having somebody in there who may or may not be even hungry, and
Right.
may or may not be even promoting you like that. One thing I always say is nobody's gonna promote you better than you can promote yourself. And
Exactly.
yeah, so another question I have is just for those guys who their pro day has passed. They may have been out of the game or off of a team and not had a workout for 1 or 2 years, man. What would you say to those guys as far as getting an opportunity? Because as you know, that's one of the toughest things, man, is to get back on those teams' radar after
Yeah.
you've taken a year or two, and you're still staying in shape, you're still fighting, and your dream is like on the edge.
The
You're
edge.
thinking
Yeah.
about, yeah, there's a lot of guys in that position right now, man. What would you say to those guys in terms of hopefully getting another workout and putting themselves out there and things like that?
Yeah. All right, so you gotta take action. You can't just not sit. You can't sit at home and not have film. So like, there was an XFL. You should
Mm-hmm.
like people like I know they had workouts and trials. So like you gotta go get film somewhere else, whether it's an XFL, CFL, overseas or something. If you're not playing football actively, then you should be training, but you should also have some kind of income coming in. So you have
Mm-hmm.
to get like a job where you could either pay for your training, you got to be, because now you're out of college and you can't just not be working. So
Right.
however you get money, you got to have some type of job. I always tell people, hey, start thinking about the future, but you're still doing this. But now
Right.
you got to like do this before you get to the league because it's very, very shady. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's not secure. So, I mean, I've been there before, like,
Yeah,
but
man.
that's kind of where I started my company because I was just like, I started it because I was selfish. I was
Mm.
like, okay, if I train people, I'll still be, and I was already training, I'll still be like a train, because
True.
So I was like, okay, but that went from selfish to I started helping people out, and I felt so good about it. And
Mm.
I was just like, man, this is great, like
Yeah.
And then even now, like every time I train one of those guys that are that it either is or went through the process, I have to go back and I'm like, but I could literally help them out 100 times better than anybody else because I've been through it and I know how to
Right.
empathy. I have empathy. I tell them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it's like driving from Carrollton all the way to Gwinnett to train. Like I feel you, but I don't feel sorry for you. I also started playing arena football. So at the time I was playing arena football, and then I was also a GA at school, and I was doing my master's program. So like, you got to get busy, like like
Yeah, man.
it not happen, but if you want it to happen, like you really got to like go all out. And then with the training, I've changed my mindset. I was like,
Mm.
I have to be the fastest guy out there. It went
Mm.
from like running a fast 40 to be the fastest linebacker safety out there
Yeah.
whenever, because I knew that was a big thing. And all the reason why they do that is because that's a good way to separate somebody from another person. They don't have all day to like see who's really the best. So like, yeah, you may not you're fast on the field, but how are you going to get on the field? You have to run a
Mm-hmm.
fast 40. You have to measure well. Um,
Right.
unless you have like a film like yours, like but this is a guy that's removed from football and is like barely at that line. And then you also went to the CFL. Like some people,
Mm-hmm.
like they don't want they're I don't know if it's like you got to be humble and be like, okay, this is my plan. I'm gonna go to the CFL, which
Right.
I was gonna go to the CFL, get some film, and then go to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't thinking about the money. I was just thinking about the plan, like my journey, like
Yeah.
because if I was there for the money, it's like it wasn't gonna be worth it. So
Yeah, man. Nah, that's huge. I love what you said about just that empathy that you have from the fact that you went through it, man. I think that's huge because there's so many, I mean, trainers, not just physical trainers, but people who even on the mental health side or, they're trying to help athletes with transition, whatever it is, and they've never really been through it, man. So love what you said just about the fact that and how powerful that is that you're able to help guys using what you've been through, man. So with that being said, like just to kind of get towards wrapping it up, man, how are you hoping to continue leveraging your experiences and your platform to just give back to the next generation?
yeah, so I mean, pretty much the way I'm gonna challenge them and the way I'm giving back is by I talk more to our guys and
Mm,
I recommend more stuff like with books. I mean, like you wrote a book, but I'm big in referring books. So
mm,
like I remember last year one of your boys bailed me. I was like, hey man, read this Kobe book.
mm,
It's gonna relate. So like not just thinking about football and training. A lot of people just need the mentality from it, like my
yeah.
mentality, because that's what's gonna get them through this journey and through life. So like just
Right.
applying the mentality and being more honest. I told myself I got to be more honest because
Mm,
you do have a lot of people or a lot of guys that want to make it to the next level and they just don't have the talent. So
mm,
I mean I know they're gonna waste time. So I tell them, hey, right now you're not a prospect. This is
mm,
straight from the scout. So and I had this conversation with guys. Right now you're not on the scene, But if you run a 4.3, then you can be there. But that's up to you. Whether you want to train, go all out. I'll be there to support you. But I told myself I was going to be more honest, and I was going to develop them mentally and kind of just slow everything down. Like, do a needs analysis. What do you need to get to the next level? And then, this is what you need to work on. And just having that tough conversation with them, because a lot of them may not have somebody like that. Everybody's cheering each other on. And, like, life is not like that.
Man.
And then if you're good, you still may get cut. Does that mean you suck, Manny? No. It just means you wasn't a fit for there. Or you could think about it in a negative way. So I always tell our guys, there's blue is positive, red is negative. So, like, if you pick out red, red is going to be there. Negative is going to be there. So you got to go think blue. So being in the right state of mind is huge. And, even nutrition, like, it's not just about playing football. You got to package it like crazy. And then stop looking at the other guy. Like, forget him. Because that's what Instagram is doing to a lot of these kids. They're looking at somebody else.
I was going to ask you about that.
And it's like, bro, he's a different height. It's just a different person. Like, not you. Like, you got to focus on your strength, because if you look at them, like, you don't know what their experience, you're going to crash. If you're driving and you're looking left, you're going to crash because you don't see what's in front of you. Right. So, like, and a lot of people miss their opportunity because they're so worried about somebody else. So that's kind of like what I do. And I'll talk to our guys all day about that mentality and what's it going to be like when you get to camp. You're going to be 8th on the depth chart. You're going to get limited reps, and they're going to, like, basically just judge you by the way you walk. You better, like, all these things, like, because it's like, it's really what's going to happen. Like, you may get cut, but that doesn't mean they won't call you again. So you're working out if you really want it.
Nah, that's dope, man. I appreciate you sharing everything.
Workouts every Wednesday or something like that?
Yeah, every Tuesday, yep. Tuesday on the league day off, yep.
People get fired every day, so every day is an opportunity. So that's kind of like, that's where my mind is at. Like, dude, there's an opportunity here and there. But, I mean, I used to be that guy. I used to be, like, moping around and sad and all that. But, like, that helps nobody,
Exactly.
But, yeah, I appreciate the interview. And then,
yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do people know, like, about you and, like you just different, bro? Like, so I have one question.
Before you ask me the question, though, how can those listening who are going to be watching this, how can they get in touch with you and train with you and all those things?
Okay. So, yeah, our company is Ultimate 48 Fitness. So you may have heard it as U48 Fitness. So Manny Rod U48 is my Instagram. There's also U48 Fitness on Twitter. I have my personal account on Twitter. And then, so Instagram, we also have an online platform where if you anywhere in the world, we could train you. So, online at u48fitness.com. So just kind of contact us through there, either Manny or at U48 Fitness. So.
All right, man. All right. So what was your question?
So my question is, like, let's see, as a linebacker, what was your mindset as far as like going to make a tackle? Because I saw wherever you play, your body, you just like,
Hey, I'll tell you straight up, my mindset as a linebacker was body bags. Like, that's all I was thinking. Like, body. Yeah, I'm just about to, like, end your life when I tackle you. Like, you're gonna feel it.
Reaction.
And the more you do something, the more it just becomes part of your nature, like second nature. And that started back in high school, like 9th grade, because I don't know if you know this, but I played running back all throughout Little League and whatnot. When I got to 9th grade, I got switched to linebacker, and I was ready to quit. And I was that angry that I was ready to just throw away everything, man. And so I reverted or recycled that hurt and that pain and that hate that I had, for the coach that at that time I don't hate him now, but at that time I recycled that hurt and that hate into what I did at that position that he put me in, at linebacker. I was just like, man, I'm about to hit every single thing moving. I'm about to, and then from there, man, it just the mentality switch from, just proving somebody wrong and always being doubted after the height thing to, like, man, I'm doing this for my family. You know,
Right.
I'm doing it for the other kid that's being doubted, that whose coach is telling them that they're too short or they can't play a certain position. So all those things that became part of my mentality, just like you talked about having a uh, intention and deeper energy and deeper purpose for what you do, man. That's was my mentality. So yeah, I knew that every time somebody watched me play, man, every single down, like that they were looking at my height, they were looking at the things that I couldn't, but deep down inside, I knew I had things that couldn't be coached, that I had a gift, I had an ability. So I was gonna throw every single thing at you and maximize like everything God gave me. So
That's
yeah,
what it looked like. That's good.
yeah, man. So
I like
well,
that.
dope, man. Thanks so much for being on the Game Changers Foundation Athlete to Athlete series, man. And once again, our mission is to help athletes in sports business and life. And you know, you're definitely a game changer in my eyes, man. The things that you've been able to do, going from being that guy who came out of Gwinnett County, went to West Georgia, you're an underdog, but you fought, man. That's one thing I always respect about you is you never quit. Like you until this day, like you're infusing your same mentality. You're recreating yourself, man. And guys, man. So it's awesome to see. And yeah, I'm proud of you, man. Wish you continued success. Always here to support you, man. So thanks again.
Sure. Appreciate
Yes,
that.
sir.